Thanks for coming tonight. We have a public hearing at 7:15. All right, Chairman's report. I signed the PW 19-04 for the Board of Selectmen and Alan Jameson. The VW 19-03 Verizon Wireless Monthly iPad expense, and VW 19-04 for Alan Jameson. Mileage expense. Grants, gifts, and donations. We have a vote to accept $225,840 for the fiscal year 18 Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program grant from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a vote to accept a $100 donation to the Historic Commission gift fund.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, whoever gave that to us.
Before we're done with the chairman's report, I read an opinion piece recently in the newspaper about sewage discharges into the Merrimack River and notification of them. We've only within the last few months have been getting notified of when these events happen, correct? And the opinion piece had a good point. There should be public warning for when these events happen for people using the beaches and the rivers and the waterways. And I'd like if anyone would like to make a motion to...
Motion to include this information on the town's website.
Second.
Can we add to that it shouldn't be happening?
Oh, absolutely, that goes without saying. All those in favor? Aye. All right, we can skip over to old business, new business rather. Karen Tyler, would you do? 10 minutes to it? You need longer than that?
Nope, I can do it in 3.
Come on up.
Alright, so,
Karen Tyler is District Director of the Eastern Essex District Department of Veteran Services.
so did you guys, hi, you guys think that print it out? Oh, shoot, I should have. Okay. Alright, well, basically, so the state has, okay, so
Do you want
for,
me to copy of these?
I guess so. Well, I mean, you guys can get the handouts afterwards.
Yep.
So, anyway, so Chapter 115 benefits is a local benefit to veterans that the town pays for and then gets reimbursed from the state. And so this is just basically a graph showing that the district is doing well. So it has been going up, and so we've been doing a lot of outreach and getting to the veterans in need. And right now we have 74 veterans that in 2017. And the other thing that I wanted to point out here is that we have been increasing the number of veterans that are on the program, but the actual number that's being paid out by the towns has gone down a little bit, which you would expect to go up with the increase in medical expenses and things like that. But me and my office have been trying to find alternative ways for veterans to receive benefits to take some of the burden off of the towns. And so some of the things we look at is getting VA pensions or certain types of disabilities, and just kind of digging deeper into veterans' needs to see if we can push off some of that money and put it on either the federal or the state level, with veterans still getting the benefits that they deserve. So there's 2 ways that they look at it. So the 2 things is per capita income and also population. So the population in our district is 57,442. And it has here that for a population this size, there should be 71 veterans on the program, and we have 74. So we're above average. And then also in in regards to money, they would the average is 460,000, and we're at 493,000. So I just wanted to you know, it's just good to check in with you guys. Once I saw this report, I thought it's something that you might be interested in and something that I can share with the board since you guys are a part of a district, so it's a little bit different than some of your other departments where you see, you know, what's going on all the time. But anyways, I'll get this to you guys. It can get emailed out. It's a simple report. Just, I don't know, keep it in touch, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions
So
on it?
if I understand it correctly, we have above average need.
Yep.
But yet our reimbursement is sliding backwards because you're trying to find alternative funding mechanisms through the state and federal government, correct?
Correct, yep.
Thank you very
So,
much.
yeah, so instead of just having somebody come in, you know, it's just asking extra questions, you know, seeing if they qualify for like SSDI, or, you know, being inquisitive, asking about their service, like, you know, well, while I was in the service, you know, I was a tanker, and I'm like, oh, how's your hearing? And I'm like, what? And so then I'll go into, well, you know, let's dive deeper and, you know, put in for a service-connected disability claim. Okay, so then they get service-connected disability, it's 10%. That means that the town is paying that much less. Or, you know, okay, this is your income, you qualify for a non-service pension, you know. And so it's those extra things which puts a lot of work, you know, up front, but in the end, it could save the town a lot of money. And so, and Shine counseling, you know, because we reimburse for medical expenses. So if there's a better health insurance that they can be on, you know, send them to the Shine counselor, or have the person that works with me be a Shine counselor. Be like, all right, you don't need this insurance. You can get the coverage that you need from this insurance, and it's less expensive. Those kinds of things.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
We got a couple minutes before 7:15. We have a one-day liquor license. Alexis Kokaris Spain Wedding at Peter Hall, 8 Plum Island Boulevard, Saturday, September 22nd, 2018, from 6:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One-day liquor license, Melanie Lamar, wedding reception, Peter Hall, 8 Plum Island Boulevard, Saturday, September 8th, 2018, from 5 to 10 p.m.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We have a request for public property use special permit, Stephen Santos, Boston Adult and Teen Challenge. The Challenge 5K Freedom Run Road Race, Saturday, October 6, 2018, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, motion.
Second.
I have to recuse myself.
Okay.
Boy, you threw everything into a can.
I know.
All those in favor?
Where did
Are
that go?
they gonna do anything with their discussion?
Is there anyone here?
Oh, come on up if you want to say that. Tell us about your event.
What it is, it's a freedom run to end addiction. We're a nonprofit long-term residential treatment. We're going to get a lot of families who have lost loved ones. They're going to have special shirts that are going to put in memory of those people that they've lost. There's also going to be people that are in long-term residential treatment homes now, sober homes. We're just getting everybody together just to celebrate the lives that were lost, but also the ones that are in the process of going through their recovery.
That's great. Where's it start?
It starts and finishes at the Riverwalk Door Company. It travels down through around Livingston Lane, comes back.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
Highfield Road, Livingston.
Yeah, Highfield Road, Livingston.
You're not gonna use any chalk on the roads, right?
No.
Okay.
I want to thank you for your work in that field. One thing I've learned in my life, addiction does not discriminate, and help is in numbers. So thank you, I think it's a great event.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
This program saved my life. I was one of those people who was addicted for 16 years. And because of this program, it allowed me to be the person I am today. So I just want to reach out and help more people.
Thanks, you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? more minutes. We have appointments to the Cultural Council. I did not have a chance to tab up if anyone can access that out of our many, many pages. Okay, it's Diana J. Lord from 8/28/18 to 6/30/2021. Right, Robin Lawson, I should have remembered that. 8/28/18 to 6/30/2021.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you for the
Election.
volunteers.
So did I. I remember we got Janine coming here. Yeah. So this will be Janine. Leslie Haley, Town Clerk, respectfully requests the following individuals be appointed as election workers from the date of this meeting through 12/31/2019. Janine Cunningham, 143 Scotland Road. Stephanie Kelly, 24 School Street. Lawrence Murphy, 30 School Street. And Sharon Murphy, 30 School Street.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Yeah, this will be a good stop point. Good start with that, that's
So at 7:15, in accordance with Chapter 138, Section 12 of the General Laws of Massachusetts, notice is hereby given that the Newbury Board of Selectmen, acting as a licensing authority of the town of Newbury, will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, August 28th, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. at Newbury Municipal Offices, 12 Kent Way, Newbury, Mass., on the application of Bob Lobster LLC, 49 Plum Island Turnpike, Newbury, Mass. 01951, for a retail wine and malt beverage only license. Said license to be exercised at Bob Lobster, a restaurant comprised of 1,486 square feet of indoor space located at 49 Plum Island Turnpike, Newbury, Mass. Published once in the Newbury Report Daily News on Monday, August 13th.
Thank you, Alicia. Is anyone here from Bob Lobster?
Yeah,
Okay, now you guys hit a snag with your outdoor seating, correct?
yes, so we submitted without the outdoor seating.
Okay,
The woman I spoke to at the ABCC said there's some people that are not, like, right attached, but ours was just too,
too far away.
it was, because the drive-through made it not able to say that it was part of it even closed off, so we went forward without the inside, without the outside, just the inside, on the side of the seating. Sorry. Shoot, Ellen asked for the green receipts. And then, I don't know if you guys want each a copy, I printed like 8 copies of the management plan.
Okay,
You want one for all of you?
sure, if you have them, we'll
I
take
do.
them.
Thank you.
So this just addressed the concerns that were brought up.
All right, for the sake of the audience, I'm just going to, I'm going to read through this quickly.
I tried to put the concerns that were brought up,
Right.
and then I also mentioned there's some conversations that I had with Sam after a separate meeting, I believe that Sam had with the neighbors at Blue Tracy, and there's some different conversations going on about possibly changing up the front to different parking to accommodate their concerns with safety and
Right.
things like that. We also know that the spots near the fire hydrant that's been resolved and are going to be filled in
Okay,
at some point by the town.
right,
So I think that'll rectify
so they're going to go away.
the Richardson's concerns of that area.
Right.
I put in just briefly, a copy of the contract for the additional hood cleaning and things like that, and the deliveries and all that. The only snag was this particular Saturday, all of the deliveries are going to be even earlier than normal because of all of the road closures in Newburyport, that small band that are named the biggest coming to town.
Right.
It's kind of throwing a glitch in all that, so that's the only exception of the earlier deliveries, and it's everywhere on the island in town. All the companies have to go out earlier because of the road closures. So.
Yeah, you just won't be able to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this quickly. This is proposed management plan on parking. As you're most likely aware, it has been determined that the parking space next to the Richardson's property has been determined to be town property. The spots will be replaced with a grassy area by the town. Prior to this notification, we parked an owner's car in the spot closest to the fire hydrant, or placed a cone in that spot to prevent customers from parking there. There are still weekends that customers attempt to park on the side of the road across from the restaurant. When this happens, we have the employee at the window taking the orders inform all guests to move the cars, as they will be ticketed and or towed. On lighting, the light post directly in front of the restaurant next to the mailboxes has been adjusted to face directly at the front of the entrance to Bob Lobster. See attached photos. This should address concerns that the Richardsons had with the light coming into their window at night. As owners, we voted to not have the light removed completely. In the few nights that we had the light completely out, we felt it was too dark, therefore not safe for our employees or owners to exit the building alone at the end of the night. Neighbor's property. We've trained all employees to be aware of anyone blocking the entrance to the Nixon's driveway, as well as anyone walking on any of the neighbor's property. If they see this, they inform one of the managers or owners immediately, and it has been addressed. There have been 2 occasions that someone has blocked the driveway without notice by us, and Maria Nixon called and we moved them immediately. Complaints regarding fried food smell. We have changed our contract with our hood cleaning company to clean the hoods on a monthly basis and not quarterly as required. We are willing to incur the additional yearly cost of $3,400 to help reduce the fried food smell that concerns the neighbors. And there is a contract attached. Deliveries. We currently have one company, Shaheen Brothers, that are delivering early in the morning. We have asked that all future orders be delivered after 8 a.m. They have agreed to this with the exception of this weekend due to road closures for Riverfest in downtown Newburyport. For this upcoming Saturday, September 1st, all of our vendors have informed us that they will have to make deliveries around 7 a.m. due to the road closures. Trash removal. G. Mello Disposal has agreed to change our dumpster removal from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. or after. I was informed that any time after 7 a.m. would mean changing the time for all of the businesses on Plum Island, and that any time after that can cause problems due to businesses being open and cars in the way of trash removal. See attached email from Gmail. Jasmine Luan had a brief sit-down with Ken and Eileen Richardson on July 27th. The plan was to meet the following week to discuss in detail suggestions to better their living accommodations, being next to Bob Lobster. I left a VM for them July 31st. They returned my call on August 12th and left a VM explaining that they are currently busy renovating their bathroom and would reach out when they had more time to sit down. We are very open to a sit-down to resolve any additional concerns they may have. Jasmine also had a brief discussion with Maria Nixon, and her concerns are still the safety issues with parking and Bob Lobster customers trespassing onto her property. We've had discussions with Sam from the building department and have had a possible plan to change the seating to remove parking safety concerns out front. Our plan would force the flow of traffic to only enter the parking area down our driveway to the left of the building. It would also distract from customers entering neighbors' property. We have images and contracts. So after that, is there anything you'd like to add before I open public comment? Would anyone like to speak on this matter? Okay. Sam. Oh.
In favor or in opposition?
It doesn't matter. Anyone who would like to speak, come up front, state your name and where you're from.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Bill Sheehan, S-H-E-E-H-A-N. I practice law in Peabody, Massachusetts. Represent tonight John Hartnett of 57 Plum Island Turnpike and Mr. and Mrs. Richardson, 55 Plum Island Turnpike. They oppose the application, ask that you deny the application for both legal reasons and factual reasons. Legally, there are 2 reasons. First has to do with zoning. I would suggest respectfully that although Bob's Lobster has been operating since 2000 or 2001, it is not operating pursuant to any kind of a lawful permit. It might apply a non-conforming lawful use because the last use that was permitted there by way of permit back in 1994 as a takeout ice cream retail sales. Since that time, there have been no permits, and so respectfully, it's not a prior non-conforming lawful use. Secondly, even if it were, this is an expansion, and a more detrimental expansion of that non-conforming prior use. What we have here is a change in the quality, the character, the degree of the use. What you're going to be introducing here, you've commented already on some of the traffic issues, the parking issues, the nuisance issues, the odor, flies, and so on. Most of those are just going to be exacerbated when you add alcohol to the situation. You've got a dangerous situation right now with respect to people parking there, vehicular traffic, bicycle traffic, trying to get on and off the island, and all you're going to do is create further problems by the introduction of alcohol. The second reason legally that you should not allow the application is the general laws and the regulations under the general laws that talk about licensed premises and bathroom facilities. And it's 204 Code of Mass Regs 2.05. Licensed premises shall have adequate and suitable toilet facilities which shall be conveniently located and properly lighted. There are no bathroom facilities at this location in the restaurant, but they have, I guess, a couple of porta potties outside. You can imagine what the problem is going to be there when you introduce alcohol.
The bylaw says in the building?
Not the bylaw, regulations.
Okay.
These are the Code of Mass regulations. What they talk about is that the facility shall be conveniently located and properly lighted. I would suggest to you that having a couple of porta potties out in the parking lot behind the restaurant is hardly conveniently located and would be in violation of the regulations. So those are the two legal reasons I would suggest that you should deny the application. There are also factual and practical reasons, the first being what we just talked about with respect to the traffic and the parking, the inadequate bathroom facilities, and then, as I say, the increase, the exacerbation of all the nuisance that is taking place there now. For details of that, I'll leave that to Mr. Hartnett and the Richardsons and perhaps others here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
I'm John Hartnett. I live at 57 Plum Island Turnpike. I also own 59 Plum Island Turnpike. Bob Lobster's a very successful business. They've done very well. I'm very happy for them that they've done well. However, the smell of the fried food coming out of there on the weekend makes it impossible to open your windows. The crowd, the first thing they do when they park is they let their dog out to relieve themselves on my lawn. It's not their fault, but it happens. Their customers like to walk in my backyard to picnic or take pictures. It happens all the time. I came home last Sunday night about 7 o'clock. There was at least a dozen cars parked in the eastbound lane on the Plum Island Turnpike, in the bike path. Now, that bike path gets used by people, kids, little kids that really shouldn't be using it, and their parents coming and going to Plum Island Beach. The reason they ride their bicycles down here is because there's not a lot of parking there. And it's easy to ride their bicycles. Nobody's got hit yet, but at some point, somebody backing out of a parking place or parked in the bike lane, and the little kid gets out into the traffic lane to avoid the cars, something's going to happen. When you have a successful small business in a residential area, sometimes you outgrow that area. I know when I had a small business, I ran out of my parents' house on Hanover Street. It got to the point where I had to move it, and I moved to the industrial park. Now I ask anybody here, would you like me to buy a house next to you, tear it down and move my operation next to you and run it 7 days a week? I don't think you would. Any more than I like that next to me 7 days a week. That's it. And by giving them a liquor license, or a beer and wine license, whatever you want to call it, all it does is expand the non-cut farming use as far as I'm concerned. All right? Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, John.
Arlene Richardson, 55 Plum Island Turnpike. I do appreciate the light. It is a lot better. And I think, I like them. People obviously seem to be very nice people, but they've really, the place is just really ruined, what we had for years. And I just think that having an alcohol, permit would just make it worse. And, I just don't know what else to say, except I just think that it's, I don't want it to happen. So that's all.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? I don't know. Any comments from the board? Thoughts?
Yeah, I had brought up at the last time this was in front of us about the bathrooms. And I think I said at that point in time that I would not vote for a license if it had outside porta potties. I said you would address that issue. And I don't see any of that addressed here. So what's up with that?
Well, we had said that it's something that we would look into adding in the back of the building if we were able to get permission from the state to have only one bathroom. And then, I think you're referring to Sam, this question, we were talking about, there may be a way that I can have the bathrooms, but again, it would have to be the neighbors on board. Currently, where the porta potties are, just as an extension to the building, just bathrooms. So it's something that I had to address, that after Labor Day, we would look into what I needed to do to apply for that and go forward with that. Adding currently where the spaces where the bathrooms are require us to have a part of our walk-in turn into a walk-in freezer because we have long white freezers in there, and it's just due to the storms of last winter and the renovations we had to do. It's just not feasible for us to do it probably until next year, cost-wise. The bathrooms, it's a large job.
Costly.
Oh yeah. Just the walk-in freezer itself is $30,000. Forget the bathroom. So.
Right. Where's Sam?
It's something we'd like to do. It's just it may have to be in after another season.
Right. Right.
Due to this last year, I mean, it's a successful business, but it was still a loss for us last year.
Right. Sam, is there anything you'd like to say?
Up here, the film public meetings here. So, Sam Jocelyn, the Newbury Building Commissioner. I've talked with the folks at Bob Lobster as well as the Richardsons. In the past, we have not looked at an expansion of menu as an expansion of use. In this case, I can certainly see Attorney Sheehan's, position on that. But again, we have not ever looked at whatever was served as expansion, whether it was a restaurant if they started serving ice cream or whatever the case may be. I realize alcohol is a little bit different and is under the consideration of the board. As far as the bathrooms go, we have had discussions about going to the state, getting permission to do one unisex handicap bath. The code requires you have two. Obviously out there is no room within the building. One of the discussion points I had with Jasmine, and I think I brought it up with the Richardsons as well, was possibly taking the footprint of where the porta potties are and going to zoning if the neighborhood's in agreement with Bob Lobster and the zoning board's in agreement and can view that as an existing footprint where they've been there for probably at least 20 years. I certainly know as a neighbor I would prefer to see an enclosed bathroom versus a porta potty, even if it's just the roof of the porta potty. Obviously you get smells from that. I'm assuming they clean it regularly and it's not too bad, but no matter how hard you work with that, it's certainly problematic. So, tonight we have, excuse me, the, the expansion use, the alcohol license piece in front of you. Again, in the past, we have not looked at food items or items sold out of the business that was retail as an expansion. Under the general bylaw, that the intent of the PIOD, which went in place in 2001, was to eliminate that expansion that would contribute to flows into the vacuum system. Can you make an argument with the alcohol that there'll be added flows? Certainly not with the porta potties. Maybe once the bathroom's added. I guess the more you drink, the more you use them. But in its current state, I don't see that meeting the intent of the extension or expansion of the use. There's certainly some other issues and concerns that you have to consider as the Board of Selectmen. As far as the porta potty issue with the whether that is allowed per the regulation, that's something you'd have to check with the Board of Health, and we'd have to certainly look into that regulation. It's not something we commonly come across. If that answered everything, but at least most. I don't know if anyone had a question for me or.
So is this bathroom code issue the Mass Liquor Code or Newbury Code? Who's bathroom law?
The regulation you're referring to.
It's a state issue.
Yep.
These are regulations that are promulgated by the ABCC.
So if the ABCC approves the license, then we don't need to worry about the bathrooms they've already listed. That's my feeling.
I disagree.
Well, they approved the license except for the outdoor service. So they've already reviewed the bathroom situation and said that clearly that wasn't one of the reasons for rejection. Doesn't mean the bathroom issue doesn't have to be resolved, but I don't think it's not our regulation that's being violated, as I understand it.
I don't know, perhaps would it be wise to run it by town council?
I think certainly.
And the Board of Health, but I mean, I think what we as the board would like to do is, we'd like to accommodate the neighbors, we'd like to accommodate the business. We'd like to have everything be as smooth as it can be. And if it seems that there is problems before we head into okaying the license, I think it would behoove us to try to straighten those problems out or have a clearer outlook of what they might be. If Mr. Sheehan is right, if you need 2 bathrooms, that's going to be a hurdle that, I'd like to know more about that. And our town council can certainly tell us that. So I think Jay is right.
Yeah, I think the question is, do we approve conditionally on review by town council, or do we continue the public hearing and ask town council to attend?
Your thoughts?
I'm not comfortable voting on this until I speak to town council.
But I think it's just as easy to have town council at least review it, give us a decision, and come to the next meeting.
I really would prefer not to go until I get that. I don't want conditionally.
Okay, do we have,
So when is our next meeting?
And I do need just a hair of clarification. Was the intent of the liquor license now to just serve inside
Oh, okay.
the existing building
Yes, which is
State of
30
Annex.
seats.
and not to go outside?
Right, which in my opinion, would actually be less alcohol or beer and wine consumed, because as of right now, there's
Remember
probably
that-
a lot more.
Guys,
It's being consumed
Best to have.
as, anyway.
as a board, remember that her intent now is to just serve alcohol inside the little room where people sit down, not outside.
Yeah. And is it a bar situation or just like a restaurant situation? You order a-
No bar, a server, someone over 18 would have to bring you what you ordered in the dining room, which is only the 30 seats, not the ones outside.
Okay. Is it the 11th?
No,
27th?
25th.
The next meeting is September 18th. So does someone want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I move that we continue the public hearing until September 25th at 7:15.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, it doesn't look like you'll get it for this.
That's okay. I am out of the country on that day. Is it okay if one of the other managers comes? Because I'm
Yes.
the manager listed, or?
Yes.
Okay,
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
You don't-
Well, I didn't know because I'm the one on the application.
For the record.
Right.
Technically be here, but I will be out of the country from the 16th to October 7th.
That'd be a question too for town council, was she's on the application.
Would
Yeah.
you want us to?
I'm gonna, at this point, I think we're probably gonna hire counsel and send them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want us to push it to October, or?
If I need to be here, yeah, if it's,
Well, we can always open it and then
We have to
continue it to
decide.
Okay.
October.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure if you knew I needed to be here, then,
It didn't make sense to say.
yeah, if another owner can come in. then
Yeah, I think if there's council and another owner, but we'll
Okay.
double check
We'll
with town
find out.
council to make
Okay.
sure.
All
Okay.
right.
So, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
What?
No.
I can't hear. H-A-R-T-N-E-T-T.
Jeff,
T-N-E-T-T.
all ready to go? All right, we have a presentation from Jeff Shaw, Context Architecture of a new draft design for town hall and police department needs.
Sunday afternoon, 14 times, 3 times. I'll move over. Yeah.
All right, that one. I think so, yes.
More to say later.
Stand by.
He was a good kid.
Get a better angle.
Yes.
Thanks, Ed. See ya.
Okay, well, that's coming up. So, a month ago, approximately, I was here and gave a presentation on the initial work done by the community between the police station and the town hall. And that work, combination of volunteers and events.
In the back, if you guys, Jen, if you guys need to chat, we need to hear Mr. Shaw. If you could take it to the hall.
The premise from that study was to do a careful look and study of the space needs for both the police station and the town hall. And that culmination, as I said, of all of these other events here on the board, we went through them last time, so I'll skip over it. That ultimate program includes the town hall and the police station. The police station was about 11,500 square feet, so it had grown from the 2017 study. And then town hall got to about, I think, 13,000 square feet. This was the site plan that was presented at the time, taking advantage of the new piece of property behind the fire station to build a new police station on, and then renovations and additions to the town hall, which allowed the project to go forward without any temporary facilities. We could keep everybody in their current place and move into the buildings as they became completed. This was the plan of the police station at the time. It took care of all the police station's needs, as well as a shared training facility and dispatching facility, as well as emergency management and emergency operations center. And this was the renovations and additions to town hall. It basically allowed the town to accommodate all of the town government needs, as well as a large record storage room and the broadcasting studio that is a part of this program, be a part of the building, which also had an exterior access point. The charge after the last meeting to us was to look at, and I should say, because I get to it
later on is that those series of projects had a total price tag of about $14 million plus. After that meeting, the charge to us was to look at an $8.5 million budget figure and start from the top going down and figure out what can you build for $8.5 million based upon the work that we had done, the committee had done in the study, and identifying the needs, and clearly that $8.5 million would have an impact to those needs. So it was up to us to kind of figure out how to piece it together and come up with a workable plan. So there were two options studied. One was separate police station, separate renovation to the existing town hall building. Essentially, two projects that would run together that would cost $8.5 million. So this plan, as you can see, is the separate police station. It's much smaller than had been proposed. It's about 2,500 square feet smaller. There are a bulleted list of items that we've eliminated or reduced. We reduced the training room by 16 seats. We eliminated the emergency management office. We eliminated a garage, all the bathrooms, a bunk room. We reduced the men's and women's room and the offices. Basically reduced them to the point that we don't feel like we've incorporated enough room for any growth. Obviously, at this scale and level of detail, it's hard to say, because we haven't planned out every single locker location, desks and all that stuff. It's hard to say exactly how well the furnishings fit, but it's possible filing cabinets and things like that may not all fit as originally intended. So I think there is some compromise here. In the town hall renovations, clearly you can see even just visually it's significantly smaller than was the previous plan. This option cut it in half essentially. So right off the bat you can tell there's a lot of changes here. The offices, as was pretty much the case before the town hall moved here, the offices open up onto the meeting room, Selectmen's meeting room area. There is no recording studio. There really isn't that large record storage room. There's really no amount of good record storage. The vault's a lot smaller than it used to be. There's no dedicated printing, plotting, workroom areas. All of that got to get accommodated within office space. And then we also reduced the office space and took out the conference room. So getting all that equipment back into this small container is going to be an incredibly difficult task, and the reaction to this was that it may not even meet the current town hall needs, let alone what the future would hold for the town hall. So it would be a challenge to fit it all into this building. It could be done as we've drawn, but we're not confident that we meet the needs of the town going forward. So the second option we looked at was a combined building, and you might remember that this was one of the options reviewed long ago and discarded in favor of the two-building option. So we essentially resurrected this option. This is another $8.5 million budget, and this building basically segregates the police and the police and the town hall into two different floors. Town hall would be on the upper floor, accessible from the parking lot at the upper edge of the site, and this building we envision would be located roughly where town hall is, which is essentially what the old scheme a couple of years ago promoted. And the lower level walkout, essentially drive out with detention area and everything would be police. So the police would be reduced by about 6,000 square feet to fit into this footprint, and the town hall would be reduced by about 4,000 square feet. Each floor is approximately the same size. It's about 7,700 square feet or so. So it's a reasonably good sized building, but there's a lot going on in here. We have significantly reduced portions of the police station, including the sergeant's office. Some offices have been reduced, administrative offices have been reduced. I think that's taken some of the growth away. Conference room, because now we're in one building, the sort of key behind this building is that you can share a lot of services. Mechanical room, electrical rooms, elevators, stairs, corridors, that sort of thing. So there is some advantage to that. In the case of this, we actually are using the conference room as a shared conference room between, and this is a smaller conference room between the police and town hall, so that's going to be very actively used, a very busy room. Because as it is, town hall uses the conference room a lot, police use it a lot. It would be challenging particularly if you have to take statements and things like that. But also share the selectmen's meeting room, which will double as the police training room and the emergency operations center. We did remove the bunk room, similar to the other plans. We reduced men's and women's locker rooms and the workroom. And in the town hall side, we removed the record storage area. Although the vault is a reasonably good size. And we do have the recording studio. We did eliminate dedicated workrooms for printing and office supplies, things like that. So all that stuff would have to be kept in offices. Even though there is a small workroom there, a lot of the printing and plotting stuff will be kept in offices. We did eliminate one of the assistant treasurer's office. We removed the conference room. There is a huge reduction in the amount of office space for town office employees in this plan. And as I said, the record storage got removed. So there's a long list of things that we did to kind of fit it into this size. But that was based upon the original program, or the programming work we did to identify the needs. So just as a refresher, this was the budget for the original project. It's about 25,000 square feet. We put it all together. That's why I said it's a little over $14 million. I want to point out two things. The line item that says network security and furnishings at $750 and the contingency at $1.29, because in this next budget, what we were asked to do is to segregate out those line items in a future project. So the $8.5 million represents everything above that line. It does not represent furnishings, equipment, technology, security, and contingency, project contingency. And that was a direction. So in this is the two separate buildings, but reduced in square footage. Police station, about 10,500 square feet. Town hall, about 6,200 square feet. All of that for $8.5 million. And then in the combined building, combined about 15,400. And that's another $8.5 million. And then in this particular case, because we would be putting the building right where the existing town hall is, we'd have to anticipate you'd have to move the police out temporarily while you built the building. So we have a line item there, $750,000, which also includes, because it's a police facility with dispatch and communications, we've got to temporarily deal with police communications. So part of that line item is dealing with emergency communications, keeping that consistent in a different location. So that's the challenge, particularly to locate something in that location. I believe, although I wasn't part of it, but that was one of the major considerations for the original study, the proposal of using the two different building sites so that you didn't have to deal with that additional cost. So that's essentially my report based upon what we were asked to do. It's food for thought, I guess. There's a lot there, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. Shoot.
Just so I can get a feel for, the accommodations, when we say the town meeting selectmen training room, any idea, Jeff, what the occupancy would be of that room?
So that room, let me just flash back to it here. Is it in this configuration? That's about
In the front, yeah.
1,200 square feet, which is about the size of this space. And that's essentially, when we talked about in our group about, what the town needed for a selectmen's meeting, it was a room about this size, reasonably. And that's what we tried to create, even in this plan, it did reduce the square footage. It's still keeping a room about this size, especially considering the fact that we knew it was going to have to do double, triple duty with the police and emergency communications. So there would be, even in this room, there might be some cabinetry off to the side that had the emergency communications equipment and workstations that could be opened up in that open.
So the things that are reduced in this building, you have a reduction of 10,200 square feet. No, that was to bring into the budget, not as a limitation of footprint issues, correct? So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in this plan, that's a good point to make. In this plan where we're combining everything, we didn't just simply pick the number out of the thin air. We started with the budget and then tried to figure out where to draw that line between police and town hall, how much program to give to each. And obviously, keeping operational concerns in play, it's really important that you have the town hall separate from the police, separated by that floor, so that you don't ever have a situation where town hall employees have to egress through the police station in an event of emergency. So in this particular case, the police would egress out the front or out this stair and out the back. And the town hall would either egress out this way, out the front lobby, or down this stair and directly out, so they don't violate any secure areas of the police department.
So part of the reason I was asking about it is, with the reduction, the removal of offices, if we decide to go with a building like this, it seems like expansion might be important at a future date. And so I'm just curious if there's room on the site for that on this building.
So one thing we didn't have time to get into was really how it affected the site plan. So I'll flip back to the beginning here and just illustrate to you. If this building was here, and I know this was part of the original study, but essentially right in this location here, and it's approximately this big, kind of when I'm showing my hand here. So there's not a lot of room to the side at the fire station. And of course, we want to get some parking around this building, but the other factor here is that you're going to now need this land for parking, because you've basically wiped out a good chunk of parking over here. And most people are going to be parking over there and walking across the fire station, which really isn't a great idea either, since that's an emergency facility, but that still works. I don't know without doing detailed investigations how much room you have for expansion, but it wouldn't be a lot of room.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at the bump out for the vault and the PEG studio and thinking, well, next to those spaces, there might be more room.
Yeah, I think,
So-
to be honest with you, I think those bump outs are kind of, getting into this area here, which is, maybe there's a corner back here that's expansion possibility.
Okay.
Can we go back to the addition on Town Hall, a separate police station? Okay. The addition on Town Hall, do you think it'd be around 2 million, roughly?
Sorry, let me go back to the plan here. This one, this is what you're talking about, that plan? This is the town hall, the existing town hall right here. This is the addition in the back, same
Yeah.
thing, existing town hall, the addition in the back. That's, in terms of construction cost, let's see, this is the construction cost of the town hall, with that renovation.
Eight and a half for everything was your goal, correct?
Yeah, so this time around, 8.5 was the goal.
Okay, so if it was 2 million for the town hall,
Yep.
that would mean you could build the police station for 6.5.
Not necessarily.
Well,
we
the
use
math
different
doesn't
costs.
work for me, sorry.
We use the different cost per square foot for the police station. Police station's at $450 per square foot,
Mhm.
and the town hall's at $350, just because of the type of buildings they are. So could you put an addition onto the town hall that basically doubles the square footage for 2 million, approximately? Maybe.
But we wouldn't necessarily fix all the other deficiencies with the building at the same time.
Yeah, it depends on when you do it. In the future, you'd be locked in for what you did. But the intent of that 2.3, 2.7 is to do a reasonably good job of renovating that existing footprint.
My point on this whole thing being, if we could build the police station for 6.5 million, that's what we have. We could build that without going for an override.
Gotcha. If you did a police station only project,
Yes.
police station only project, no town hall, you take that 2.3 out and you're down at, roughly 6.5 million.
So we
Yeah.
could do
What you're not
that without
including-
an override, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying, guys, okay?
I think
My
what
point.
is key, and I don't know why it was split up this way, but these two things are in fact very important for doing a police station, so we can't ignore that these are going to be part of the project. So if you take the 2.3 out, you get to 6.2, you still have a $1.4 million question mark down there. And obviously the contingency won't be 900K, it'll be less than that, and the 500 will be less than that. But it'll be, still a significant amount of money that should be considered.
And we're talking about a 10,500 square foot police station?
In this particular scenario, yeah, it's a reduction of 2,500 square feet.
Has the chief weighed in on?
Yes, he's weighed in several times, I don't think he's in the room, but he, right there. Maybe he wants to speak for himself.
It's challenging, and I really commend Jeff for his hard work. He's earning his money. The reduction is very challenging. I mean, we're talking the combined building, we're talking about sharing a conference room with town hall. When people come to the police station to talk to the police, they don't want to go into a conference room in town hall. They want to speak privately, and I know I've spoken to many people privately in this room alone that have come to the police station for private matters, and they want to speak privately with a police officer. They don't want to share a conference room with town hall. Those are the types of things, the privacy issues, the office space. The initial draft didn't have an office for the detective. We need an office for the detective. He does a lot of really sensitive work. He can't share an office with other people, but Jeff corrected that. And those are the types of things, and we'll work with whatever the town builds. I want to say that. But I don't want to be the guy whose name's behind something we know is deficient going in. So choose what you think is best for the town. My advice is choose what you think is best for the town. We will make it work. We always do. There are things in the plan now with the standalone police station. I would sacrifice different things to expand a conference room. We have the room in the lobby that we do the firearms processing in and things like that. That's a very important room to us. That gets used quite a bit, not just for firearms processing, but for private conversations that don't amount to, I need to talk to an officer for an investigation and come into the station, but just minor things that people come in for. They want to talk with an officer quickly, and we deal with it right there without trancing the public through the police station. And that room isn't in any of the iterations that we're seeing. So there are different things. And obviously that's conceptual drawing and nothing's set in stone. So there are different things. With the square footage we have, I would absolutely sit down with Jeff and say what works for the Newbury Police Department, what we can work with. And I appreciate everybody's opinion in here, but I've worked in that station for 31 years, and now I'm in charge of it. There's nobody in this room that knows what we need better than I do.
Which is why I'm asking.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And so Jeff is very responsive to that, and I am trying to be as responsive as I can to all the suggestions and everything
So
within reason.
My question is, the original plan that came to us, this police department was 13,500 square feet. He has come up with a standalone police station here at 10,500 square feet. I know previously there was 9,000 square feet. Can you live with something less than functionally? I don't want to build you a police department that's going to be obsolete from the day that you move in.
I was going to step in front of you and answer that question. I think it's tough to ask the police chief to answer that question because they're in a position where they've got a building that is really unworkable for them. And where we worked in other communities and seen these same types of issues come up, where how do you decide how much to spend? We did the study so that we could come up with an objective way to figure out what they really need. But the chief's right. If that's too expensive, there's always another way to make it work. The point we have to all decide is, and this is the crux of your question, at what point is it not worth it?
Right.
You don't even spend the money to build the building because it's not gonna do more than what you're living in today and basically live to fight another day. I don't think we're there yet, but we're pretty close.
Alicia, please let me reiterate. I don't want to stand up here and whine and sound like I'm ungrateful.
You're not
I can't tell you how grateful I am to everybody in this room for the money that has been appropriated, but ultimately, it's not my money.
Right.
I don't pay taxes in this town, I work for you, and we will work in anything that is built. And I know Jeff, with the money he's given, will give us the best building that he possibly can. And I will work hard with Jeff with whatever footprint and whatever money is given. But if you're asking my honest opinion as to what is functional and what is really pushing the limits, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. And you might not agree with it, and that's fine, but, you know, that's all I have to say.
Well,
So,
right now, you don't have a police station. You haven't had a police station, as far as I'm concerned, since at least I moved into Newbury. So my goal is to get you a police station. It's to get you a functioning police station, something that you can move into, you can fit in, and you can be proud of. So,
I
as
think
long
that,
as, I think you need to answer the question.
yeah, I think that,
Is 10,500 square feet satisfactory for a town the size of Newbury that has an aging population, a declining enrollment in our public schools? We don't have water and sewer, we do not have the potential for growth, but we need a police station.
I would suggest to you that at 10,500 square feet, it is adequate, and adequate means it'll work for today's needs. 2,500 square feet you're sacrificing is the future. So in 10 years, you're going to be thinking we should have built an addition, we should have made it larger. That's my honest opinion to you. Having worked in other communities, that what you're sacrificing by giving up the 2,500 is the expansion elbow room, so that if he moves in on day one, he's not going, where do I put that box? Where do I put that file?
Right.
I think it's going to fit day one. It's just, I'm worried about the future, honestly. And where we've experienced issues in other communities is because they cut back more than they ultimately should have. And I don't really feel that until you move into the building and you kind of live with it for a while. And we go back and we talk to people, and we talk to people, and you hear 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, I wish I hadn't cut that. So I think that you're fine for day one, you're fine for a few years maybe, but then 5, 10 years down the road, you're going to be looking at wishing that you had a bigger building.
And it will be more expensive to do those renovations in 5 or 10 years than it is to do it now.
I built my house, and the day I moved in, I wish I had more closets, so.
Well, what the chief said begs to a standalone police station. I agree with that. I think we should build the police station for the amount of money that we have, the 6.5, not go for the override. I can't say it enough.
One thing that rang true through this whole process, the majority of the voters seem to support restoring our municipal campus. Money per square foot, a combined building, there's savings there. And I can't leave that behind. Yeah, we can kick town hall down the road and build a standalone police station. We can go out and have a knee-jerk reaction and buy a 20-year-old building somewhere that's far away from the campus that our voters have been envisioning. Or we can get almost $1 per square foot and combine these two. There's no sense in heating, cooling, cleaning, maintaining 2 separate buildings. There's no savings.
Yeah. As someone who's always advocated for the combined building, I think it makes a lot of sense to go back to town meeting. We have been shown through the work of the Municipal Building Committee that it would save us money, and now that we've hired an expert, he's also showing that it saves us money. I think limiting it to the 8.5 and cutting it so close to being a non-functioning building may not be our best choice. I understand why you went there, but I don't think we should be shortchanging the future of our town by cutting the budget. We made, as a group, a bad deal with a bunch of people who wanted to build a $4.5 million police station or $4.25 million station. Their opinion has been shown to be way out of line, their information entirely wrong, and then they argued against the compromise position that the board took in town meeting. I don't think those people are looking at the future of our town and the future of our community. And I think we need to do more, not less, for our civil servants.
I'm burdened by the complexity. I do feel that the site that we have, where we have water and sewer, and the synergies of combined services, has always been important to me. I feel water and sewer especially. I actually could understand a combined building, but I'm a little burdened by the fact if the combined building gets too small, we never accomplish what we need. And even if we could make it bigger, we're gonna run out of room at that location. It's kind of a catch-22. So I don't know when you go up another half a floor or whatever, if that makes it, but I mean, I'm a little, when I look at some of these rooms, I mean, some of these offices could maybe be reduced. I mean, we could have cubicles, but I mean, at a certain point, especially town hall, people are in those offices 8 hours a day. Some of the police can probably share some space except for the main folks. But in speaking about a combined building, I've always been a little worried about parking if the building gets big enough to really accommodate the needs. I mean, if we could increase our monies enough to build a building there that was sufficient, would it be too big for the location? Would we be parking everyone down back? So, I don't know.
Just a technical question. With the entirely distinct uses of town hall on one floor and police on the other floor, is there still the necessity for the elevator since they both have access from a ground level?
It's a good question, and it's not entirely clear, black and white.
Okay, so ADA doesn't come down on that.
If you have them so segregated like that, you could potentially, I think there's enough gray area, you could potentially look at it that way, you don't maybe need the elevator, but I wouldn't necessarily look at this as dogmatic as that. I think you got to assume that, as we've all kind of been hearing, the potential here, if you literally did this, is that things might change. And so if somebody, did an addition and now we need a little bit of town hall on the lower level and now we need the elevator because you got to be able to provide handicap access within the facility, that's a problem. The other scenario I bring up is that if we are sharing as much as we are between police and town hall, there might be a scenario where somebody comes to a lower level, person with handicap needs, and they won't need to bring them to a conference room, and that's upstairs. So it's out of order to tell the person to go and walk around the building.
Kind of what I figured, but I wanted you to say.
Any other comments from the board? Don?
What kind of sticks in my head is when we were talking about a combined building before, at least in my head, it was combining police and fire. I never combined new town hall and police. I just don't think they work.
That was my initial proposal. Town hall and police.
Yeah, no, police and fire work.
No, the initial proposal, police, was
The town hall and police.
Yeah, it was town hall.
Okay, anyone want to come up and speak? State your name, where you live, come on up.
I'll stay right here.
You're gonna be on TV, Fred.
I don't care. Fred Thoreau, 26 Marsh Avenue. I got a bunch of questions, but the first question and most important question I have is, JR made a statement that the voters of this town seem to want the campus where it is. Where did you get that information?
The majority.
Where did you get that information?
Town meeting, talking to people.
Town meeting isn't the voters. You gotta get the vote of the town to get the vote. And I've never seen a vote on that.
That's a consensus I've got talking to people, and I talked to quite a few.
I don't
More than it just
I don't
is.
get that consensus myself.
Fred, you
Fair enough.
even admitted at one time it was a good idea to maintain synergy when we were in the library.
I maintain what?
The synergy of one location.
No, I don't know where you got that
We
from.
can find the record for you if you want.
Go ahead. But I don't want to hog, but this combined building, you're proposing to put that where town hall is now. Why isn't it proposed to be put where you would put the police station?
What do you do with town hall?
Ah,
Leave the police?
first question, that's the first question.
I would say,
There's still work to be done to the building, it's not
That's
like
the
the
first
building's
question.
inactive.
the question's directed to me, I don't know if it was, but if it is, then I would say, I don't know where you put all the cars. Because if we take all that spot out of the building, which will be most of that land, then we're gonna have it remaining around the existing town hall for parking, and you're gonna need more parking than that.
Okay, well, that's an answer. Okay.
And as a town hall, stick your town hall in the parking lot in the back, you have your town hall on the main road up front.
Why?
Because that's where it's always traditionally been, and
That's not true at all.
what
The
represents the
town hall's
town.
been in at least 3 or 4 locations.
No, in civic planning, in proper civic planning, in most towns that have a community and a sense of community and a sense of place, the town hall is a place of pride and a place of presentation for the town. And there's no better place for it than on High Road, at that intersection where people going through can understand that they're in the town. And especially in New England, where you have greens that signify that you're in the center of town. You as a planner should know this. I would think you'd be the first one to advocate for it, to say that when you drive through New England towns, you can understand where you are because you can see the town hall and the name on the town hall. Why not stick it down some side street somewhere? Right?
No,
I mean, are you trying to get the most bang for our buck and for the betterment of the town every way we can here?
Yeah, well, yes, we are. We're trying to
And
do
you have a
that.
sense of pride in
And you asked,
Newbury?
and you asked what I would do with town hall. The existing town hall right now would make a great senior center. That's a historic building, and it should not be taken down. That is a historic structure.
How do you hoist everyone up into it?
With a lift.
You gonna run it, you gonna do a forklift?
They make them, and they're inexpensive.
Well, I expect you to advocate for that on town meeting floor, Fred, when that time comes.
Do you have any more questions?
I do, but that's enough for now.
Okay. Would anyone else like
Give
to
somebody
speak?
else a chance, yeah.
Jim, come on up, please.
I prefer-
Jim, come on, everyone's gonna start coming up. The meetings are televised for a reason, we don't need to hide.
Jim Moran, 104 Elm Street. A few questions on the first one, the reduced basin town project, that page. And Jeff had commented to it, the $8.5 million, we've got to be careful of, because really you've got to add the contingencies and the furnishings, and that brings the number to about $9.9 million. If in fact you're going to go with town, ask the town for money. A few other questions. Is there site work involved in the $8.5 million?
Yes.
And how much is of this is site?
It's craft site within the $450 or $350 per square foot.
Okay, so that's put into the 5 million and the 2.4. Okay. So the total there, in my mind, is about a $10 million bill. Now keep in mind, the square footage of that is 16,700 feet. If you go to the second page and you combine, the first thing you're doing is you're reducing 16,700 to 15,400. You're giving away 1,300 feet. When you add up the numbers for this column, this comes to $11 million. I don't know if you're looking at numbers, but I think you're making a big mistake. Somebody should be totaling the $10 million and the $11 million. I believe you're advocating that.
That's exactly what I'm advocating for, that those line items are not lost in the discussion. They're important pieces of the puzzle. It wasn't part of our charge, but I didn't want them to be lost. I think the biggest difference that you're referring to is probably due to the temporary quarters, the $750,000.
That's correct. But more importantly, if the town is going to go to the voters, they have to have a total amount. They've already got 6.5. You know, are you going to go for 10 or are you going to go for 11?
Sure.
Order of magnitude. I agree with Fred that the the town hall should remain as is. Ironically now, to do that, you build a 10,500 square foot police station, which I believe is more than adequate. Of course, your town hall now, you're only going to have 6,200 feet, and that is no more than you presently have in the existing building. So what you're saying is, you're going to move the town hall back in, renovate the basement, and no addition to the building.
Correct.
The prior plan to this was you were going to add on a 1,400 foot extension.
That's true.
So we're saying that either we're all messed up before, or we're all messed up now. But it seems to me, you know, you have to come to the conclusion, with 6,200 feet, when you take care of your needs. It hasn't been, and for 2 years, it's been argued that you need.
So, Jim just made the point. We had
Just state your name briefly.
Eric Swan.
Thank you.
There's been lots of proposals. We did start with the combined police station, fire station. That was the charge from 2012 when the public service, this, that, and the other thing committee were formed and went through. And there were lots of issues that sidetracked it. First it was the fire department, just the fact that we had Fire Company 1 and Fire Company 2 and all the issues in town that went with that and the evolution of the fire company. So in terms of understanding what the actual need of the town is, what the want of the town is, from that point of having a good program, like we've gone through again, understanding what the needs were, we've continuously watered it down based on budget. I think we're back here, and Jim just made the statement, he's trying to say that, look, you don't have enough money to do what you need to do. You know what you're saying, Jim?
I would say,
That's what you said. That's
well,
what you said.
You
You
know,
can't
what
build what you
what I
want
said is
for
the
the
square
dollars.
footage was short than you wanted 2 years ago, the square footage.
Yeah, because we had proposals and the committee kept watering down options in order to meet a budget for people that were saying that we just can't afford it. But you weren't paying attention to what was in the program or what was compromised at the time. And so through this process, and it's a linear process, you start and you have ideas, and some ideas don't pan out, but they were good to proceed with, so you understand, okay, that was too big. And where the building committee stopped was the last proposal of the program in which we brought to your attention that we were well over the square footage that was previously assigned, which also meant we were well over the budget. But now we're at the point, Jeff and Context Architects have done a great job of showing you what you can buy for basically what is the minimum. And I think we need to understand what do we really need to do in town? What do we need to provide for? And if one program is too big and one program is too small, where do we need to be? Then are we just going to live with a dollar amount, or are we going to try to solve the issue and understand what that issue is with the best program? And obviously, we're trying to put 2 and 2 together. But if you go back and you look at the many reports that were given, there are multiple options of almost every square footage you can imagine, and budgets at different levels. The new town hall isn't a new idea. But we did police, fire, we dropped fire because nobody wanted to touch it, it was too hot. And we went with the town hall. And we looked at how much we could fit on the front town hall site. And yes, it was demolishing a building that people perceived to be historic. I don't know if it has a historic plaque, it sits in a historic district. It wasn't intended for the original use of the town hall, so you can't quite say it's historic for its intended constructed use. So, I don't know.
But Eric, let me add to one thing you're saying also, that we backed into this the wrong way, and I think people really have to understand we're almost at the place we should have been in the beginning. Most towns set up their architect and OPMs and go ahead and find out the bad news in the very beginning. But we had to go and Newbury and do it totally ass end backwards.
So we did try that. They got rejected because nobody wanted to hire the architect first, because nobody put trust in the fact that the process that would pan out to produce the best building at the best cost value at that time, and it was just fear of, you guys we're gonna hire the architect, you're gonna ramrod something through, and we're never gonna get our say.
And guess what, we missed 2 years. And things are a lot more expensive now with building materials and cost of borrowing money. So we really did a poor job.
While Eric is still up there, could I ask him a question? You mentioned fire. Now, the fire department has a very large training hall. Why can't the police use that training hall? Now, I know the back of the building needs some work,
The
but
fire
that's it.
department has gone through their own process of understanding what they need in terms of becoming compliant with their own codes and regulations. They've now, after all this, started the process of building out offices and spaces that they need for equipment storage in that back room. Exactly how much, I don't know. But before we started the process, as soon as Jeff was hired, we had Jeff go to the fire station and do a program just like he did for the police station, just like he did for the town hall, and then take it and put it in the file so that we would have information to have this discussion if needed. But the directive and the dollars were not to be spent. Actually, I don't know if those were spent out of these dollars or other dollars, Gracie.
That was under professional and technical services.
So we have town's budget for those kind of things. And so that was separate out of the project. So we can talk about fire, but fire has been left behind in terms of the
I
discussion.
don't want to talk about fire, I want to talk about that part of that building.
It's
Usable
no longer-
for the
It's
police.
no longer used the same way.
Are you meaning
It's no
just
longer
while
an
we're
empty
building
room.
something
Pardon me?
or permanent?
It's no longer an empty room. Remember how before they had the fireman's hall there, they could have tables and
Yeah.
stuff? It's not used like that anymore.
Believe me, a lot of it is still an empty room.
And as I understand it, and I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I understand they're building out storage and offices that they need. So maybe there is some space there.
Are you talking permanently or just while things are being moved?
No, I'm talking permanently.
That's what I thought.
Comment, Derek,
Wait. Are you interested in taking questions? You're welcome to.
Been standing here for a couple of years. We're all trying to get
And
this
it's
thing
not that
done.
we don't appreciate you, don't get me wrong.
it seems that tonight's meeting, one of the biggest things you've got to do is decide which plan to go ahead with. Plan A or Plan B. And they're two different animals, they mean two different things, completely different. And my vote is to you keep the town hall as is, you renovate it, and you build a standalone police station. It accommodates a very balanced site, campus, and to accommodate that, I'd further comment to say that the town hall probably needs some more space. If it needs 1,000 feet, we should take it out of the police station and take the number down from 10,500 to 9,500, if you're gonna try to work along those lines. Now, whatever you do, you're gonna come to the voters and you're gonna say, listen, 2 years ago, we wanted 6.5 million, and now we're gonna ask for close to $11 million by the time we do this. But again, going back to the first and foremost, the most important decision-making process, you've got to decide which plan you wanna move ahead with. You can't move ahead with both. You're just gonna go from bad to worse.
Do you have a question for Eric, or are you gonna ramble?
Well, my rambling was square footage, and I think by reducing the police station, it gets down to what Eric 2 years ago thought was a reasonable number to work to, 9,000 square feet. And also, the number of another 1,400 feet for the town hall would bring it back up to where you again were 2
Square
years ago.
footage was a compromise on the dollar amount of 6.5 million. You got
No.
two things that make the equation. You can work the equation forward, you can work the equation backward, you can come up with a number. You can take the cost of construction, and you can say how many square feet you have. And you can say, I got this many square feet, it's gonna cost me this much, and that's my budget. So, in terms of presenting you proposals and options, that's what we were doing. So, I'd ask you, Jim, and say that you've got to sit down, before you come back to any other meetings, is you gotta take the space plan that's printed, and then you sit down with the chief and go through it. I don't know how much police experience you have. How many times, I don't know how many times you've been in the police station.
I sat with John there a year and a half ago in the police station. Right now, they're operating in 6,200 square feet. They're doing absolutely fine.
They
We
don't,
don't have any issues there.
but we're waiting for.
Well, what I'm saying is, we're at 6,200 square feet, we're operating an efficient police station day in and day out, 7 days a week.
It's not compliant,
Jim, we don't have an
That's-
accredited place to hold.
Well, no, I'm giving you an order of magnitude, you've got 6,000 feet versus 10,000 feet. Somewhere in between, whatever the number might be, there's nothing sacred about any particular number. But let's be objective about this, and it's important you realize 6,000. I've been in an 8,000 square foot fire department, police department. That's great, plenty of room. So,
I think you're just talking off
it's
the top of
not
your
as
head.
if I haven't
You're not.
been there. 2 years ago, I purposely went into, the chief invited me into a
Jim, it's enough. We need to let some other people speak their hands up, please. And,
Thank you, Eric.
Mark.
Mark Buckman, 28 Brookview Drive. Just to offer a little bit of historical perspective here, and I think my memory serves well. In 2015, we went to town meeting with a proposal for a combined police and fire station that had an approximate construction cost of $11 million. But we only went to town hall, excuse me, to town meeting looking for $990,000 for the engineering work. That was passed overwhelmingly at town meeting. And then we went to the polls and we voted. And that vote lost by 32 votes. So for those people in the audience who suggest that the history is that the town didn't want a combined facility, that everybody in town is only interested in standalone and wouldn't pay that freight, you're wrong. That vote lost by 32 out of a couple thousand people that voted that year. I checked with Leslie Hazley 2 weeks ago. So I'm sitting here saying, if 3 years ago we came within 32 votes of a number that was approximately $11 million, that's probably, to Jim's point, that's probably what we're going to end up spending, $10 or $11 million. And I would prefer, and I think most of the people I know in town would prefer to go that route and give a police chief who's been 31 years in those buildings, not occasionally, the benefit of the doubt. This is a guy who's running a department that basically ran out of a large latrine for a number of years. So he's not going to say boo. And for any of you to suggest that you know better than him what a functioning police station is, shame on you. So from where I'm sitting, I think you should go to the voters and say, look, 2 months ago you heard a figure of $14 million and everybody gasped, including me. And now to say, we've sharpened the pencil, we've talked to the folks involved, we've gotten that 14 million down to approximately 10, 10 and a half, maybe 11 tops, I'm voting for that. So
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak that hasn't spoken yet? Fred?
I hope I can ask a few simple, clear questions. First of all, my name is Fred Davis, 59 Main Street, Byfield. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm the guy that you're referring to who doesn't know what he's talking about. Started the petition for the, is that what you said in the beginning? That I had
There
no
were a
idea.
number of people who pushed for a cheap police station.
So, did you say that won by 32 votes or lost?
No, lost by 32.
Oh, it lost. Has it ever won?
now we've been putting the ballot since.
So my question to Eric is, do you have a picture of the exterior of that? Or do you have a picture of the exterior
Of what,
Yeah.
Fred?
of the police station?
Of just the police station?
Yeah, oh,
That
well,
is
just
right.
curious what the exterior might look like.
We have in the file somewhere a rendering of a brick building and a rendering of a shingle-sided or a
Do you know what the exterior would be made of? Would it be
pink
Jeff, in terms of most economical, the
Yeah,
kind of siding?
we anticipate this is gonna be similar to residential-like building, it'd be probably wood-framed, residential type materials on the
Similar
outside.
to the way the town hall
Fiber
looks
siding.
today.
Yeah, just some,
Is that one or is it 2 stories?
in all cases, the police station as a separate building are 2-story.
It's 2 stories. So I want to ask Tracy, when does the lease expire here?
We're in the final year of our lease, I believe, right now. We've got a 2-year extension, 2 one-year extensions to allow.
So something would have to be done in the next 24 months. What would be the lease if you had to sign anything after 2 months?
We'd have to renegotiate.
So the question you might want to think about is, I know you don't want to talk about, being really conservative, but if this doesn't pass, then where are we then? I brought this in because, I did look at a $5 million police station in Shelby, Missouri, that I spent my money to fly down and look at. Well, it's 8,500 square feet. And my question is, the town of Merrimack, Mass. Is the same size as the town of Newbury. And they've just voted to build a $6.5 million police station at 8,300 square feet, thinking it will be fine for now and in the future. Your thing all along, Damon, has always been in the future. In the future. And Alicia said, the population is declining. We might want to think about what the voters are going to accept. I don't think you can build a standalone police station with everything in it at 10,000 square feet for $6.5 to $7 million. So, if you're gonna decide to go with that police station, and it's actually 500 square feet larger than the very first one Eric talked about 4 years ago, which was 10,000 square feet. So we've actually increased the size of it. So a question for the chief.
Yes.
How many felony arrests did you have last year?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
No.
Okay. Is it possible to keep a prisoner in Middleton?
We do that every time we have a prison.
So do you need cells in the new police station?
Absolutely.
So wouldn't it be possible to take them down to Middleton?
Well, Middleton, we pay overtime every time we have to bring somebody down there.
That's not the question I asked. Would it be possible to bring them down to Middleton?
Anything's possible, but
Okay.
whatever.
I'm just trying to get this clear here where we're gonna go, because,
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying.
Mr. Davis, you're asking a question, but you don't want to hear the answer.
I heard the answer. that
No,
it
you heard
costs money. I just
the
asked
beginning of the answer,
if
and you
it
cut
was
me off.
possible. Okay, go ahead, finish.
Anything's possible, but the sheriff's department is now incurring more liability with prisoners coming in, so that policy may be changing very soon, where they don't accept prisoners, especially prisoners that have medical issues or are under the influence of alcohol. So yes, it is possible at this time, yes, but that could change in short order. So that's the complete answer.
So,
We did,
Damon.
this was previously discussed and talked about regionalization and the means and what it would do for the town, what other towns were doing. The building committee, the public safety complex committee, I went down there with Sheriff Cousins and toured the facility. He told me all about it. It is a great setup. They have great buildings down there. It's just not getting the traction and mileage, and it's a very tough job to fill. And so it's unfortunately failing, and at that point, nobody wants to jump in and take care of it. We've talked about the Newburyport Police Department taking over or having them take our prisoners. Nobody wants our prisoners. And with the staff that we have, the chief has to then get somebody to come in on call and babysit wherever we put them. So it's not an option to go to Middleton. It's not an option to go to Newburyport. We just need the simple facilities that we have and will actually save money in the long run.
If what you're saying is the truth, and what the chief is saying is the truth, don't I still have a right to ask that question?
And I'm giving you an answer.
Okay,
That's
but
all.
I do have a right to ask the
No
question.
no one's stopping you from asking it.
So, I mean, it might have been discussed before. We're gonna have to, if you decide for an override, we're gonna have to put this up to the voters. So I think all questions should be asked. Instead of asking them down the line, what do you think the population of Newbury will be 20 years from now?
I assume it will be within a couple hundred of what we are now.
Okay. So I mean, I don't want to be looking like a bad guy just because I'm asking a few questions.
No, it's okay to ask questions, and we all just have to listen to each other. It's fine.
I don't think I'm asking questions that, you know, if I'm 100% wrong, that's fine, but I have a right as a taxpayer in town to ask a question.
All right, I didn't mean to be defensive, but I was just trying to answer your question.
Okay. I just asked if you had an exterior picture. You don't have to have them, but I just asked.
There are. And we don't have them, I don't have, you know, I got a box like this I gotta drag around. I don't have that box with me tonight. But they are available, and Martha and I can find one
I
for
just
you.
feel like there's a lot of animosity when I ask a few simple questions. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to build a 10 by 10 police station. Okay? I'm trying as a taxpayer to represent the voters of what they say and what they want. For 4 years, the voters have voted for a standalone police station. Is that true or is it not true?
There's been several options. It's not been true from the start.
So when have they voted in favor of any of your plans?
Well, some of the plans were just to hire the design team so we could get the design team to do some work. So that failed. It hasn't been the same vote 3 or 4
Well, I
times.
think one of
It's
the
varied
biggest
every
problems
single
is, you
time.
know,
Fred, I think the 6.5 was to build a police station and to renovate town hall.
Yes.
And that's one of the problems I had, was that we really needed to bring back everything instead of trying to just build a town hall, if it happened to go that way. I think what the board is carpeting now is, we have a price tag of 14 million on something that seems to be everything that we might need, and we want to try to reduce it as much as we can and not make it obsolete before we build it. And that's where we are right now, at least I am, as a person.
I understand, and I can certainly listen to all of you speak, and I appreciate it if you listen to my opinion, which you have.
Yep.
Which you have, and you know, what happens if it fails again?
Then the town's gonna.
And then it's like we're the bad guys because we dragged it out and
If
the
it
thing going out.
fails again and we do the best we can, you know, we'll bring it back again, or the town might decide that they don't want to step up and house their police, and they don't want to house their town hall.
For me, it's all coming down to how many square feet can we get for our dollar? Combining gives us those lower dollars.
Well, I certainly think if Merrimack can do it with 8,500 square feet, then you certainly should be able to go with 10,000 square feet. You know, that's the plan that he has there existing right now.
So what I see, and I want to talk to the board for a second, you guys. What I see is the town has some pretty basic needs, okay? We need a police station, we need a town hall. Eventually, we're gonna have to update the fire department. All of that's gonna cost money. $6.5 million isn't gonna solve the needs of the town. To drag this out further, I think does a disservice to the police station, to the police department. I think we need to build the police department, then come back again and get the town hall needs addressed, and then come back again and get the needs of the fire department addressed. As painful as that is, it seems to be the way that we're getting, at least the way I see, we're getting stuff done.
I think you'd get a much, much better reception from the town if you built the standalone police station. It came in on time, in budget, Then you said, okay, now we need to look at this.
Okay, but Fred, you have to understand.
I'm saying, I'm agreeing with
I know
everything
that.
you just said.
Well, but you have to understand, when we do it that way, it costs the taxpayer more
But
over time. And that's the rub that I feel, and I think, I don't want to speak for the board, but I think they feel the same way.
If we break it up in 5 years, the taxes will be higher.
They will be higher.
Well, what happens is you have building costs that.
I understand that,
and
but
borrowing money.
Alicia, do you understand, you've said that same thing for 4 years, and for 4 years the town has said, no, we want to build a standalone police station.
And repair town.
But you gotta remember too, that I was elected to be a steward of the taxpayers' dollars. And I can't, it goes against everything that I am to go in a direction that I know is not so much a misuse, but a waste of, if there's a better way to do it and save the taxpayer money over time, I would rather go down that road.
I appreciate what you're saying, because you have said, listen to me, and whatever you guys decide, so it's all positive. But it's not a bad thing that we have different opinions.
No.
It's not a bad thing, and we don't have to like blow up.
No, no, we not.
It's just, you know,
My hard head, it would be easier to put my head down and just drag a standalone police station over the line, knowing it's gonna cost us all more in the end and knowing it's not right. But my brain's telling me, by combining in what people like Eric, Mr. Shaw have been telling me all through this process, when we keep throwing scenarios at them, is the savings comes in.
so what would be the total cost now, as it is? You know, was it 8 million, 10 million, something like that?
As what is, Fred?
With the plan that you have here right now,
Which one, Fred?
either one, they're both the same price.
No, it's not, it's not.
Do you want to take that?
Sure. They are both $8.5 million until you add in the additional
And
costs.
so we'll say
So
7.
one adds 1.4 million, and the other one adds 2.6.
So it comes up to about 10 million?
One's a little over 11, the other's about 10 million.
Okay, say 10 million. Here has always been my biggest worry. Suppose you started and it comes to 12 or 13 million. You don't think there's gonna be, you don't think that could possibly happen?
Yeah, but Fred, you also have to remember, we're talking about a debt exclusion. We're not gonna be permanently overriding the tax base. So this is like a mortgage. In 20 years, you'll be paying off that mortgage. Is it gonna increase your taxes? Yes, it's going to increase your taxes for the amount of time that we're going to be paying for this building. So like everything else in town that's coming off the tax base, that's what's happening. I mean, the school came off the tax base, the rec fields are gonna come off the tax base. Eventually, is it gonna be a tough nut to chew? Yes. And my taxes right now are over $7,000 a year. And it's
Cheap.
well, it's cheap to you, it's not cheap to me.
You know,
So I understand, but it is gonna come on.
Damon's thought was always about down the line, and I appreciate and understand that. My thoughts have always been, as being in buying and selling real estate my whole life, is, are we gonna come in on budget? Are we gonna blow that budget all to hell?
Well, I hope to God we don't. I hope we
Well,
have better, but we're
hoping
trying
it's
to
not
have,
gonna do it.
but we're trying to have better planning, and putting the money up front, what Jeff has said, I think will help.
Okay, so anyhow, I appreciate you listening to me. I tried to not be too, I just wanted to get a point across.
I got your point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Thurlow.
Chuck, what happened to your idea on the Apple building?
Nothing's still on the table, as far as I'm concerned. I called the gentleman, he's still willing to sell the building.
And that would solve town hall's problem.
We would be buying a 20-year-old building
Yeah.
and starting out with it. In 5 years, that building will need things. In the area, in the place where that building was built, in the era that building was built, I'm not confident that everything was done right. I'm just not, because a lot of things weren't done right in that era. Once we, yeah, it's a private building, we can buy it cheap. Once we own it, anything that's done to the building will be into prevailing wage. It'll be just as expensive to work on as any other building we own, and then we'll still have the old town hall building at Morgan Ave. To me, it's kicking things down the road, we're spreading ourselves out, we need to consolidate ourselves to save money. Spreading out and buying more things, a 20-year-old building, every year this gets more expensive. Let's solve the problems and get back to our municipal campus.
That's one of my fears with this building, this police building on the dump. Will it be built right?
Better to
It's
put
a dump. It was a dump.
lot less digging with the parking lot there. You know what I mean?
That was a dump when I was a kid.
It was kind of a dump when I was a kid.
Where do we go from here?
I think it's probably wise to put this back before the building committee and let them chew on it, just like we're all chewing on it now. But that's,
Well, I think what happens, JR, is like I said earlier, you have 14 million that seems to satisfy everything. And like Eric said in the beginning, this has got to go back to programming now. Programming is what Jeff does. It's what people do when they build these buildings. You know, is it going to be a 242-foot square office, or can you get by on a 210? You got to start with them. So we got to see if we can get the best product we can for a little less money, and then we have to make a decision.
I guess the question is, do we tell the building committee to work on a combined building? Because the direction, they've stopped when we got to the price tag previously. We need to give them direction about how to move forward. Looking at the proposals before us, I think the combined building makes the most sense, and if it fails,
I think the combined building makes the most sense, but if it's going to be a combined building that's too small out of the gate,
That's my
we got
concern.
to look at what the size constrictions are going to be with the front lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that front lot probably is going to have the best building material. Like Eric said, the building will certainly, you know, be a centerpiece for people driving into town, but I also don't want to restrict it so that no one can park there.
well, I think that's what the committee will look at.
Right, so scaling that to the size that we need, where we don't maybe share that conference room somehow, and making it fit on the lot. I don't know.
And can you also make sure that for the building committee that the size of this combined facility is adequate?
Well, I think that's the question we
That's
have
the
to ask. I
program
mean,
stuff.
JR gave a budget deadline, you know, as Eric has many times said, do we work from the budget or do we work from the program? We know that 14 million is too much and is not a budget that is acceptable to us as a board and most likely acceptable to anyone in our town. But the direction we give can either be fix it at 8.5 or combine building with the program needs met and come back to us with a different budget based on that, and then we can decide what we can do.
Yeah, I want to see a building that meets the programming needs of the town, because I can't see spending any money on something that's just not going to work. That's a blatant waste of money.
All right, well, I move that we direct the building committee to further refine a combined town hall and police station.
I second that.
discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yep. All right. Why are you gentlemen here?
National Grid,
Oh,
yes, sir.
Thank you.
you're not on the agenda.
I looked online. It was under discussion items toward the end.
Well, that's letters received, correspondence. You're not on the agenda. What?
We gotta learn a lot about this.
Yeah, 5-minute recess.
See you again.
Posting meeting notices.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So I saw that this is gonna be the way of the future now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's acceptable by the state, meets the criteria. Any-
Vote of the board. Yeah.
Right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, vote regarding 31 Plum Island Boulevard, which is up at our future bathroom comfort station site on Plum Island.
Yeah.
Martha, in the paperwork to be signed by the selectmen, I believe that Lisa Mead provided language for a vote. This is just the final
Want
step.
that motion?
Yeah, the motion would need to be read, and we have to execute.
It's the same as the one in the packet.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Want to read it, or you want me to?
Did I don't.
I got it. I hereby move pursuant to a vote of the April 24th, 2018 special town meeting, Article 4, the Board of Selectmen purchase the property at 31 Plum Island Boulevard, including .035 acres from Plum Island Enterprise, Inc., and pay the amount of $350,000 as considered thereof, and to undertake all requirements as set for
Within the purchase and sale agreement.
the purchase and sale agreement dated April 19, 2018. Further, the board authorized the chair to enter into any agreements related to the purchase as may be determined to be necessary to effectuate the transfer of same to the town. Just need a second. That was the motion.
Okay.
So we have a second. Discussion.
I'm glad this is moving forward.
So am I.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have a request of Peter Fippen, MVPC, for a waiver of Town of Newbury RDA fee, request for determination of applicability. Sorry, it's been a long day. For Newbury Phragmites.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion is that it's a state agency, and most of the stuff that's going on is in Newbury, and the IDA fee is like $100, but most of the time that type of agency asks for that.
I'd just like to say any effort to eradicate Phragmites in this town, I stand behind, because it's not only a coastal or marsh problem now, it is creeping down our
Oh,
roadsides.
it's in Byfield.
Yeah, it's creeping down our roadsides.
Yeah. I think,
Alicia, it's a neighbor. It's everywhere.
I think anytime the state wants to work with us and help us out taking care of our problems, that's the least we can do to waive the nominal.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We need a vote of the Board of Selectmen to conduct Newbury Cable Television Public Ascertainment Hearing on Wednesday, September 12th, 2018 at 7:15.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion. Basically, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Alicia's really tuned into this. This is a chance for the public, as we're negotiating that contract with Comcast, this is a chance for the public to come and voice any concerns about the service.
Thank you.
No, it's more
Is
than
that
that.
what, okay, that's right, I knew you'd have more. I knew you would. You're
So,
too good.
so this is, right now, the town of Newbury is, its license with Comcast is up for renewal. And, in order to enter into negotiations with Comcast for the right, pretty much the right to sell Comcast television programming to our residents, this is the time that we have to hear from the public as to what those needs are. And that pertains to public access, government access, and educational access. So,
But it's also the service to residences too, right? Quality of the service.
only TV, it doesn't have nothing to do with internet. So, if you have an issue with Comcast based, putting on TV and you get snow, like remember snow, or it doesn't work anymore, you need to call them. That's a service issue. This is more about what the programming, the PEG programming needs are in Newbury. So I have a list, a 4-page list here that Ellen has helped me get addresses or name, contact information of all the volunteer, so-called volunteer committees in the town. I'm gonna be reaching out to them all, asking them to come speak and see what they would like public access to look for. Jen, I'm gonna ask you to please put it in the paper. It is gonna be in the paper under the public notices section. It already was, right? Yeah. Yeah, it already was, and it might be again another one, I'm not sure. There's 2 advertisements. Yeah. So, so that's gonna be Wednesday, September 12th at 7:15 p.m. And this is the chance for Comcast to hear what the residents of our town would like. Is that clear? Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, reorganization of...
No, we're on here.
Where are we?
Request.
We're not done.
Hold on the page.
Yeah, but we're gonna kind of move on to the admin. Oh, we skipped one, yeah. Requesting the Friends of Newbury Town Library to the Board of Selectmen. They are having a literary themed pumpkin decorating contest, where these pumpkins will have the themes of different books and novels. It sounds very interesting. It's Saturday, 10/13/2018. They've requested willing selectmen that want to be judges in this event.
Me, I want to go. Pick me.
Fair enough.
Pick me.
I'll be working most likely during the time since they need us there.
I'm gonna be iffy around that time.
Well, Chuck and Jeff,
I have no idea where I'm gonna be that day.
That's my same problem. With Phragmites starting, I have no idea what's going on. Where they're at.
So
We'll see though.
we got one.
Yeah.
what do they request, 3?
Yeah.
That is October, right?
It's just that during the days. Tough.
I know.
But
Okay.
I'll put me as a maybe, and that's the farthest I'll go. Okay?
Can you make it a game day decision? And you too, Jeff, can you make it a game day decision?
Okay, so we'll communicate to the library that we have one definite.
Yeah, and
At
that's
this time.
because they may need to actually reach out to others because they
Yes.
may need to confirm.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna circle back. Reorganization of the Board of Selectmen. I put this out there basically just as part of procedure. We always did it following an election. Jeff had to have some work done on his knee and stuff. We reorganized at it's usually after an election, but given the circumstances, we were reorganized at kind of an unusual time. I'm happy in the position. It's time consuming as I expected. So basically, the pleasure of the board, I'm willing to keep on serving at your pleasure. So it's up to you folks. If you guys like the way we're going.
I move that we make no changes at this time.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm just gonna lay the groundwork for future years. I mean, I got 3 more years on here, and I just want to say that I understand the current issues facing the town. I got little notes here, clip notes, that the police station, town hall, and fire station are definite huge capital issues facing the town. This year we have the licensing agreement coming up. Comcast is going to take us into next year. That's something that we have to think about. Joint budget is currently takes up more than half of the town of Newbury's budget. The state is backing away from its obligation to fund public education, and that funding formula needs to be fixed at the state level. Newbury can't override its way out of this. There's big momentum right now currently at the state level, and we need to continue to band together with other regional schools to lobby the state to fix it. I had mentioned to Tracy earlier tonight that I want to attend in January this annual meeting of the MMA, because I want to really start reaching out, because we're not alone. Newbury isn't alone. We're a regional school district, and we're not. I can make headway this way. We have that coastal communities grant coming down the road, and there's issues with the rec committee they're a working committee, and it's time consuming, and those are the issues that I see right now facing the town, so. I'm willing to offer my services to rotate the chair, when and if the board sees fit. If I never say anything, you'll never know, so I wanted to say it because it's public, and I just think I want to put it out there. I'm willing to take one for the team.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And thanks for your willingness to shoulder the load. I do appreciate it. And also, I just want to say, I feel like we have a real balanced board. I reach out to all of you for different reasons. You have different ways of thinking. I appreciate it. And also, my support system in the office, second to none. I have people like Tracy, Martha, Ellen, who's not here tonight. All people I can count on when things get hectic. Thank you. All right, thank you all for your confidence in me. All right, administrators report.
Okay. Becky McKnight is coordinating with Mass CZM, the annual Coast Sweep. It's the cleanup event that they held. They've held it for, I think, the last 3 years. At Plum Island Center. It's going to be on Sunday, September 23rd from 1 to 4 p.m. And the DPW will work with the event coordinator to make sure they remove all the bags of garbage at the end of the event. So nothing will be left behind at the end of the day. State primary elections, September 9th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Polling locations are at the library at 0 Lunt Street and the fire station at 3 Morgan Ave. The town clerk did hold a training session today for all of the election workers, so they're ready to go. The Plum Island bathrooms that you voted on earlier this evening, we're working with town council right now and the property owner to set a closing date. Things are moving forward, and we did also receive notice in the form of a visit from Senator Tarr and Representative Mira that the Senate, and notifying us that the Senate had passed the appropriation, the $350,000 grant for the bathroom renovation project. So that is moving in the right direction. It's not a done deal yet. And they'll be coming to speak with you, I think, in your September meeting as well. Our Maya Rewards program, we got a rebate of a little over $1,000 this year. Ellen works with the department managers every year to determine what coursework has been taken. She puts it all together in a packet, sends it to them, and kind of challenges them, if you will, to rebate us because we're gaining more and more expertise, the managers are. So this year is a little over $1,000. She also attended a training seminar put on by the ABCC. I think you may have seen that referenced in your package. All of the local licensing authorities are going to be, they're converting their whole program, the whole way that the ABCC does business. So she attended that to kind of get up to speed on what it's going to be looking like. So she'll be our licensing expert in that area. I got notification from the fire department that we were successful in getting grant funding. They had, for the replacement of, I think, 39 of our SCBA breathing apparatus packs, the units, the masks, and also 78 air packs. They had been before the capital planning committee last November in hopes of moving that program forward. I think it was, the initial request was in excess of $250,000, and they were not going to be replacing as many as we got grant funding for. They did commit to the capital planning committee that they would try to seek grant funding, and they were successful. So Newbury's going to have to come up with a match of $25,000, but we're getting over $250,000 worth of equipment, so that's pretty phenomenal.
Wow.
These are really great SCBA's. Those go up to the initial ones we had were 2,500 pounds. These are 4,500 pounds. They're lighter, and they carry a heck of a lot more weight and are a lot safer. They will not blow up in the fire. These are really great tools. The getting here, great deal, great deal.
Police Department is still looking to hire civilian dispatchers for all shifts. Anyone interested, please contact the department. Media Committee is still seeking members. We have 2 who have been appointed. Anyone that's interested, we would encourage them to contact Ellen Jameson in the Board of Selectmen's office, send a letter of interest. We're working really hard on getting our free cash certification together. We've closed out the fiscal year end. It takes a couple of months to finalize everything. The plan is to get that submitted and approved prior to the town meeting, which is, I think we have tentatively scheduled in October for the 3rd Tuesday in October. I'm not sure if Ellen has finalized the details with the elementary school. But that's going on right now. The Olga Way project has been approved. All the permitting is in place, the planning board.
The planning board, it will be signing a decision tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
It's a 20-day appeal period, so we'll file it on Thursday.
On Thursday, okay, so that is on the DPW schedule for the fall, should it move forward without appeal. The landing project, all the permitting is finally in place. And that's on the list for the fall as well. Main Street Bridge project, everyone's aware, it's complete. What I'm not sure they're aware of is the fact that we did receive $360,000 in state grant funding for that project. It came in over $41,000 under budget, and it was opened 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So
Bravo.
It was a success despite.
Did a great job.
So thank you to NEL Corp. They did a marvelous job. The field house is also complete. The Meadows Construction is done with their work. The committee, the Newbury Rec Committee, Selectman Greco, the DPW, everybody, the coordination was great in getting that done. It's nice to see that finally complete.
And I believe the rec committee has their meeting scheduled on Tuesday. I mean, the first meeting in September that I'm gonna try to attend. They have the policy, the field house policy on the agenda, so they're gonna be moving that to us for approval. So that really is moving forward.
The Mass Coastal Camera Project, we have received notification that the installation has begun. The cameras are intended for public safety use by the Newbury PD, the U.S. Coast Guard, FEMA, and MHA, which is the Massachusetts Harbor Masters Association. All of our harbor masters attended a training on June 19th and June 27th. So that's moving along.
And all the cameras are facing correctly, right?
The one on
They're
Pine
not
Island
installed
is,
yet.
right, the one on Pine Island is being moved.
That's been removed.
It has been removed,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it's being redeployed, I believe, at Clemont.
And also, we've lost the chief, but one thing I wanted to clarify that I had clarified for me, these cameras are quite sophisticated. If they're near a residential property, they can program the cameras, so the town lines are all it sees. Anything that could potentially even be in the camera view that's private is blocked out, blurred out. There's nothing we can do to change that. There's nothing the police can do to change that. It's in the programming of the cameras.
In the
So
software?
these aren't cameras that are capturing someone hanging their laundry in their backyard. They're laser focused on what they're intended for. So that, you know, they're not intended, nor are they programmed for spying, you know, on our citizens, which I know is a concern.
The camera was moved, but the area was left because it needs to leapfrog to the landing, to the boat ramp.
Right.
Right, but the actual dock is private, right?
There's no camera there now, Chuck.
Right, so, okay.
On Pine Island, you're saying? Yeah, there's no camera there now. It's out of there.
And finally, we did receive yesterday the resignation of Dan Valiente from the Triton Regional School Committee. So what will happen now is probably, I would think we would schedule for the September 24th meeting. The members of the Board of Selectmen, along with the 2 remaining school committee members, would choose to appoint someone to fill his unexpired term, which goes through May of 2021. So again, anyone interested needs to submit a letter of interest to the board for review.
I'm sorry to see you go.
Compassionate. Jen?
Could I just clarify for the record, Tracy, the primary is the 4th. I heard you say the 9th.
The 4th.
You said the 4th.
Sorry.
I misheard you, maybe.
No, I probably said the 9th, but
Okay.
it was the 4th.
Thank you.
Yep. Sorry about that.
So I have another question while I'm thinking of it. On the bottom of Knob Hill, they had that water main break. I went by there today, it's still not paved. Is that because they're still waiting for the ground to settle? Have you seen Chuck?
They might be, if they're, I'm not speaking for James, this is just out of my head. They might be waiting until they're doing a little other paving to get the asphalt at the same time, if I had to make a guess.
Well, I thought Johnson Paving was going to do it.
The patch is up to the Byfield Water Department,
Okay.
and they are the ones that are paying for that.
Okay.
Now, we do have one more coat of paving to go over Main Street. The reason we're waiting is National Grid is now gonna move the pipe, the gas line, across the street again now.
Okay.
They keep changing the way they are.
Right.
So we're not gonna pave it till they're done, and then we'll go back and fix everything.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So is Johnson Paving going to patch it and then possibly the town of Newbury
I don't know who,
fix
hires.
To the Byfield Water.
Yeah, it's up to Byfield Water.
Since Byfield Water broke it, they have to fix it.
Right.
Well, I don't think they broke it on purpose, but okay.
It doesn't,
It's
Things
not
happen, but it's on now.
it's not on the town to fix
Yeah.
that.
No, that's
Wow,
right.
that was quite a report.
Ooh, well,
Wow.
it's been a month.
Yeah, you're right, and a lot has happened.
Do you want to shift these things up to the top as far as correspondence?
Yeah. If you guys can kind of keep it in a nutshell, I'll let you speak, just so we're not here all night.
Sure.
Come on up.
Okay.
I think I know what your concerns are. We've received several pieces of correspondence.
Okay, my name is Keith Rice. I live at 128 Havel Road, Topsfield. 30-year employee of the gas company. It wasn't always named National Grid. It was Essex County Gas for years, and done a lot of work in town over the years, Jeff and myself. Our concern is related to safety with the lockout that's going on at National Grid, where our contract negotiations broke down as of June 25th, and we were locked out. The replacement workers they're using are contractors who normally install new piping and are now being worked with management crews and contractors, some from out of state. Some of the pictures we showed in the handout have shown some very unsafe situations that we've documented and also reported to the DPU and to OSHA. And our intent was we would hope your town might consider joining the growing list of other towns that are involved in a moratorium on any non-emergency gas work in your town. And I think we're up to 21 cities and towns now out of the 85 or so that are affected by the lockout. So we can certainly provide you more information, more detail, but that's about where we're at. We're in our 10th week of the lockout, and we certainly consider it a public safety issue for your town and the other ones we're approaching as well. Any questions, we'd certainly be glad to talk to you. Mr. Jesperson, I believe, mentioned that National Grid's keeping you folks updated on the negotiations and how the contract's going and things, and we can certainly give you our side of it, from you to hear another point of view if you were interested in talking with us. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we want to put them on the agenda for discussion next time? Because I don't think we could act on anything at this meeting since it wasn't put on the agenda.
Yeah. Is there any talk about ending this lockout anytime soon? What's the union leader saying? Are they going to sit down at the table again?
We're still sitting at the table. It's pretty much once a week right now. We sit with them. There's no movement right now.
They still have their final offer on the table, and they haven't moved from that.
seems to be about once a week we go to the meetings and don't really get too far.
Kind of two minds of that. You know, on one hand, they're complaining about the workers who come out and replace them, but they put themselves in that position. You know?
I think we just need to discuss it
Yeah.
appropriately, as
Yeah.
opposed to when it's not on the agenda. So that's why I said we should move it to the next meeting and talk about it.
Yeah, we can put it on for next, yeah. Sure.
So Damon, you're saying that just to explore the fact of, you know, that there could be danger and you want to know if there is danger. And that's
Yeah, and whether or not we want to either
join
or not join.
Did you want a representative from National Grid here as well in that conversation? Because they had asked to be put on the agenda as well, but the decision was made that neither would be put on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to discuss it, I think they should have representation as well.
Both sides.
Because I'm of two
Makes
minds
sense.
about it.
I agree with you. Okay.
Should we take a vote?
Yes.
So what do we have to vote on at all? We just put on the agenda, right? We don't need to vote then.
Okay.
The end of September, the next meeting, because the last two meetings.
Citizens concerned.
Yes. Do we have citizens' concerns tonight?
I have a couple of points I'd like to bring up. Oh,
I'll let you, sorry, come on up. Just state your name and where you live.
Albert Catalano, 18 Dartmouth Way. It's my email that I
Yes.
think you have. The email pretty much states right here. Have you read the email?
Yeah, that's why I know who you
So I
are.
have several questions that I'd like to ask. Do I need to read it? Do I need to?
I'm familiar with it.
Are you asking, what are you asking us?
Well, it has nothing to do with dogs on the beach, which was the subject that I was put under. I can read the email if you'd like.
I think we all read the
Basically,
email. Basically,
okay.
what's your point?
My questions are, you're looking at the subject of the control of dogs on town beaches, correct?
Yeah.
No, we're not. A woman.
We've got some correspondence, but I mean, we always get correspondence about dogs
So-
on the beach.
I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
I attended a meeting on April 10th where a woman came in and proposed changing some of the hours that dogs could be allowed on the beach. You did not discuss it because you found that there was conflict in the bylaws. My email was asking a couple of questions, okay? Now that you will be looking at the subject of the control of dogs, will you also be considering a discussion that would establish a leash law for the town of Newbury? That's my first question. If not, considering that, what type of request or action needs to take place so that this broader subject can be considered? And if the town of Newbury as a whole is not ready to consider a leash law, or the bylaw for only Plum Island people. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. If I may. So we have not formulated any parameters for looking at this yet. It was one of the things that we said, we're not going to deal with this now, we're going to pick it back up in the fall. So we haven't decided how to address this issue. We'll spend some time looking at it in the coming months. If you wanted to bring a leash law before town meeting, you could form a petition, get that signed by, how many people have to sign it? For a citizen's petition, I
For a
forget.
special town meeting? 200?
100.
I'd have to check with the
So
town.
there is a process that you can
I
go
understand,
through.
but
Historically, a leash law has not been favored in town.
I understand that, but then Plum Island is, a different area of town than the majority of Newbury.
It's
And
unique, I will
it
give
is
you
unique,
that.
Yes. And I certainly, I think I understand the reasoning behind not having a leash law throughout Newbury. But, I mean, you say that that you consider the reconciliation of your conflicting bylaws by the fall.
Yeah.
what is it going to take to also consider instituting a leash law in conjunction with that? My reasoning is that instead of just looking at the narrow subject of dogs on the beach, the broader subject of dog control in general. And if it just needs to be for Plum Island, then perhaps that's the way it should be looked at.
I think the dogs on the beach is actually a Board of Health law, not ours. I think Board of Health put it in front of the town floor.
What happened was there was a bylaw that was adopted by town meeting.
Yep.
And then there was a subsequent regulation that the Board of Health voted. According to town council, the bylaw trumps. So it's the bylaw that is actually in effect now, and that regulates the time period within which the dogs can be on the beach, the time of year and the hours.
Yep.
And that's what is being currently enforced. So that issue has been resolved. Whether or not you want to consider changing that bylaw is something that can be brought up.
Which bylaw is being enforced now?
There's only one bylaw.
Which one is it?
It's the one that was voted by town meeting. I can't vote it off the top of my head, but
If you go on the town website,
Yeah. Is it the one for 8:30 and after 5:30?
yes, yes.
And that's being enforced now?
That's being enforced now on the public beaches.
Okay.
On the public sections of the
Okay.
beach, it cannot be enforced on the private
And
beaches.
which sections of the beach are private?
Anything
Most
from
of
the center down.
So you're telling me that from the center of Plum Island south to the federal refuge is private beach?
What it is.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're one
So
of the,
people who are on that beach are trespassing?
No, because, and I can't recite all the details of it. Oh, okay, fair enough.
what it is, we're one of the 5 low water states. And for the sake of commerce, 1640, the right to fish, fowl, and clam, we own to low water in our state. The people that own that beachfront own the low water.
So what about the issue of liability? I mean, if you're not regulating dogs being on that section of the beach,
And it probably goes right up to the private
it
land.
goes to the private property. So if there was an issue, not just with the dog, but some type of issue
If
that
my dog bit someone in my yard, it would be my problem.
Well, but what if your dog bit someone, and I'm only using his name as an example, because you don't know, Bob Connor's yard, beach yard.
Well, my dog wouldn't be down.
Well, but I'm just using that as an example. That's I think, a huge issue.
Well,
Plum
I mean, I'm
Island's,
not talking about dogs.
Plum Island's a puzzle. It's a puzzle right from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, because from the ramp line down, everyone has access, but the property extends to the water. It's very tangled legally.
I
And
would
that's why
think,
it's such a,
I would think that, and I don't know, I'm not an attorney, but I would think that if the dog bit, if I take my dog to your house, and my dog bites his kid, then I am responsible for my dog. That's what I would think. So I would think if the dog was bitten, even, in a public, walking down a public street, if a dog bites somebody, I don't think the town can be held liable. I think the dog owner can.
That's a question for Lisa.
That's what
I'm
I
not
think.
even going there.
And I was just using that as an illustrative purpose of, there has to be some type of regulation on those parts of the beach. There has to. I mean, how can there not be? Dogs is just one thing that needs to be regulated. What about other things? I mean,
It's private property though.
So
private property,
people
public
can be
access.
posting signs there soon that public isn't allowed?
No, it's public access. It's private property, but it's
Well,
public access.
that gets complicated, but we seem to have a pretty good relationship in a lot of ways, except maybe for some of the complications by dogs. It's ongoing. It's certainly something that if you want to continue to push and push and push, you can, get the 200 votes, you can put on the agenda again. I mean, it's yours to do. You're a citizen. And, you know, you will get the feedback from other people that have dogs and let their dogs out at 5:30, and that's the way it goes. And we sit here and we mitigate all that, and that's how it goes. So we're not,
Take it away from.
we're not
what
jumping,
the letter-
we're not jumping
what the
over the
letter was.
bylaw for you tonight.
No, I understand.
So
I
that's how,
understand.
that's where we are.
And my intent, my letter was not to talk about dogs on the beach and when they can be allowed. It was, while, and I guess you answered the question, is that there is not gonna, when I was here back in April 10, you know, I thought I heard.
Our largest town meetings ever, by far, have been the dog issues.
Absolutely.
All the hot,
Like-
contentious,
like
emotional things
bull-
you can deal with, put your bulletproof vest on.
I think the largest we ever had was a leash law in town. It was just packs them right up.
Get it on building committee and take
So the
So,
thing
are you-
is,
So,
are
you
you-
know,
are
if
you-
I
do you understand?
wanted to follow through with
Yeah.
trying to establish a law,
Yes.
then what exactly do I do? It needs to go.
Check, basically, you'd want to check with the clerk,
Town
correct?
clerk.
And she would tell you what you would need to do to have a citizen's petition, how many signatures, what it need, you know.
And would that go
That's where you would
before the
start.
town meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, if you achieved it, it would, yeah.
And it would be a local vote as
Yes.
everything
Yes.
else.
Yeah,
yeah, by
and
about
there's
50%
we have two
majority.
town meetings a year. We have a special town meeting in the fall and an annual town meeting in the spring.
So come this fall,
Yep.
this bylaw thing is not gonna be part of it.
Oh, no.
No.
Because you
Unless you-
resolved it, that's
unless-
the one and only bylaw is the one that's the.
That the
public
voters
health,
passed at town
public
meeting.
health, And they're allowed after 8:30 and.
It's not the public health one,
Before 8:30.
it's the
The
bylaw.
bylaw.
Bylaw, it's not the public health.
No.
And that was town council, I believe, right, Tracy?
Actually, we
So
should
it was
probably
pretty-
ask the
Pretty
Board of Health
easy
to
for us,
rescind
we
that.
were out of it, it was town council. So,
Does that help you? Does it answer questions?
Oh, sure, yeah,
You need to go to the town clerk's office and see how you.
if I want to
can
follow
answer.
through.
Yeah. And it would be possible to do it Plum Island only, we think.
You
Because,
do.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we
think-
talked about it as a littering thing at one point for Plum Island only, which I objected to, because I thought it should be townwide. But we believe from that discussion, or I believe that from that discussion, that you could do something that was zone specific. So,
Island specific.
Thanks, Mr. Catalano.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very quickly, September.
We still on citizens concern?
Oh, yeah, go right ahead, sorry.
Okay, not a problem. The park that is around the post office, we are in charge of that. There's a dead tree there. I've had a guy come forward and say that he will take that down for nothing. So I kind of need permission from the board to go forward with that,
You
because,
need
you know,
public
we, the
hearing.
Board of Selectmen, are in charge of that. He's
I'm
offered
lost.
to take it down for
Say it
nothing.
again, say it again, Chuck.
There is a dead tree on the park. I'd like to take it down,
Meaning
and
where the monument's gonna go?
close to where the monument's gonna go, yes. We've had a tree guy right here in town, Steve Noyes, offered to take it down for nothing, but he wants to move on it. And I thought, wow,
So,
we have it, we should, you know.
so, you know what?
What do we need a public hearing?
It's
Yes.
for the public hearing. There's one that's just been posted, and I think
Right.
trees in the park are part of it. I don't know if that
He
tree.
posted it.
Yes, the live trees are probably not gonna be part of it.
No, no,
If
no.
they are, they are. That's a whole separate public
No,
thing.
there's no
A
live
dead
trees.
tree, the Board of Selectmen, can order it taken down in a heartbeat.
So can I speak, because I met Fred Davis over there,
Yeah,
and he showed me which trees he wants to come down. Which tree you
Yeah.
talking about? When you're standing at, where Vivian's store is, across the street, that one that, where he went, Fred pointed two trees out to me. One that was the one that was kind of, if this
think
is
you'll
where he
find-
wants the monument, there's one tree kind of like here, and there's another one kind of like over here.
okay.
That he,
If
they're
I
both
can
of them are like
interject for a
half
moment,
dead.
Please,
Yeah,
okay. Right now, he is saying no live trees are gonna be taken down.
both of these trees are
Only-
damaged.
Only the dead tree is gonna be taken down.
Okay, so these two trees, I looked at them,
Yeah.
they're not 100% dead, they're about 80% dead. They still got some green on them, but they've gotta go. They're not a viable tree.
Right.
There's two of them. Is that what you're talking about?
No, one big one at the end. I would like to take that down.
I didn't see it.
All right.
I mean, I appreciate Mr. Noyce's generosity, but the liability and stuff where it's on town property,
He's fully insured, fully licensed.
We need to have a public hearing. We can't take any trees in town anywhere. Anybody can take any trees down.
Live tree, yes.
Do you know?
Dead tree poses a problem, we can take it down.
Well, I'm curious about this, because we did just pick up the bucket truck. We have, I'm curious about what our laws say about that, because I'm concerned of overstepping it, but I'm also looking forward to things like, there's a dead tree covered in poison ivy at the intersection of Middle Road and Orchard Street that should come down. You know, they're dead trees, we have a lot of dead trees right now, and I don't know what the legality is around taking them down without a public hearing by the tree warden. There's another set, there are a whole bunch of trees that are marked for public hearings that are stone dead. So I'm concerned that we don't have the legal right to just take down a tree even when it's dead. So I guess I want clarity from either if someone has the bylaw.
In other words, you're asking what the process is, so we know.
Yeah, I don't want to do the wrong process.
And I'll tell you what, I am for looking at some of the trees if we can now that we have the means, because 5 years ago, or a little more now, I was right across from Governor Dummer on a rainy, windy day, and a tree fell that was about this big on my Dodge truck and totaled it. And it fell right on the windshield of my truck. I was going 45 miles an hour, so one that didn't kill me.
Yeah, you're lucky.
And bang, smash. So,
All right, so Martha sees something in the paper.
Well, there's a public hearing that's been posted for September 6th for a tree warden public hearing, and there are four trees in the park, American Legion Park. One is a 38-inch maple to be removed.
Maybe that's on there.
I think you'll find they've revised it, but fine. You know what? Forget I asked, okay?
No, but now we can do it, because we already got the public hearing. We're good to go.
Okay. My second question is the monument itself. I would like the town guys to go in, dig in front of the monument. There is concrete 18 to 24 inches in front of it. I would like to hammer that out and find out just how deep that actually goes, so that we can figure out exactly what it weighs, and then figure a way to move it from there. We can't, we've tried to move the monument itself, it will not move right now with a machine. So what we need to do is figure how deep it is. And Thursday, the guys have a window of a few hours, and they're already on Wayside Ave or Pearson Drive. So they can move the machine right down Thursday and do that.
So you're looking to scrape sort of the corner between Church and Central?
Yes.
And then just, they have a hammer on one of the machines?
Yes, they have, well, not on the machine, no, they have an actual,
It won't damage it, will it? It won't damage the plate, will it?
no, absolutely not. No.
I have no problem with them doing an exploratory on
Yep.
that.
Almost like a test pit almost?
I have reservations about the tree, not that it needs to come down, just I want to be confident we're following the right process.
Yeah, because he posted it, it's in the paper.
Okay, so that's a done deal, but what about a volunteer doing it?
Well, we haven't got that far yet. Let's get through the public hearing first.
Okay, so it should not happen before the public hearing.
Oh, no, we need to have a public hearing.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that if the DPW guys can do it, and it's not gonna, waste a whole day, I think it's great for them to do that exploratory work.
Yeah, we need to know what it weighs.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine some poking and prodding's been done, like, can you feel the cement down there, or is
Yes,
it way down?
we're out there today.
And you
He
can
said he-
feel,
Yes,
Didn't you say you couldn't even move it with the machine?
that is correct. It won't move forward. We went behind it with a machine to
Tugged on it.
move forward, but because the concrete is so far forward,
yeah.
it's making it very solid. It's doing its job.
What about drilling it with a Hilti or something, just to get down rather than jackhammering?
We don't know how thick it is.
Well,
That's
yeah.
the problem. That's why we want the
hammer.
air hammer to attack.
I just thought it might be easier to
Yep.
drill through it and then get a sense of
So
it that
I'll
way.
say, you know, Thursday morning, I'd like the guys to go out and do that.
As far as I'm concerned, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Make a
basically,
motion, someone.
it's kind of like town property, but some of it's on private property, some of it's on town
Well, the
property.
front part of it's
You know,
town,
right.
certainly, because it's within the roadway.
Yeah.
So,
Double.
okay.
So
I-
do you need a
Actually.
motion?
So, all right,
I can direct James that.
okay.
Okay. Do we need a motion
I just
then,
wanted to
or-
run it by the board so everybody knows what's going on.
The other thing I wanted to tell you was that I reached out to the garden club.
Yep.
And I have 4 women that are willing to, take over the planting once that's moved
Yes,
to,
yes.
to wherever they move it to.
Yep.
They're willing to, I have to get them a,
Plan.
yeah, a plan, and they'll do the design. Fred is, I've already met with Fred, we discussed it with him, so they'll do the design and the layout, and hopefully be up to speed with that, so I think it's very nice. Thank you to the garden club.
Okay. We received many letters of correspondence, September library events. Jonathan Higgins with his Upper Green Pond algae project. A couple letters from Evelyn Noyce, Jim Moran about the police station, town hall. Several letters about dogs on the beach, one we heard from tonight in person.
Can we go back to the guy on the green for a second? Do we know, does anybody know if he's ever spoken to the Avla, what's his name, Cole?
Cole, don't believe so.
I don't know what the two have to do with each other.
Yeah, they would.
As long
He's
as I
just
don't-
sucking green crud out of the pond.
Okay.
All right, we received several,
There you have it.
we received several letters today. Do we have warrants?
Yes.
Motion to sign warrants?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
minutes,
Motion to approve the July 11th meeting minutes?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.